So I'm in between writing projects right now and I'm getting kind of bored, and that is making me actually kind of anxious. The 5 cups of coffee I have every day probably isn't helping that either, but. See, there's this running joke in my family that my father can't read. Now, of course, he can actually read, but the joke is he can't read books because he can't sit still long enough to actually focus on them. He's this type of guy that we all know that just can't sit still. He always has to be moving, always has to be, doing something, fixing something, working on something. That's just who he is. But see me, I've never had that problem. I love to read and I love to write, which of course can require me to be stationary for sometimes hours upon hours as I'm working. And I really enjoy sitting down in the evenings and doing absolutely nothing once I know that the work is done. But something has started happening to me recently that is kind of throwing me out of whack, and I'm having a little bit of trouble dealing with it. So after college, I spent a little over 15 years working in corporate IT. And anybody who's ever worked in a corporate job or any type of 9-to-5 environment knows that basically each and every week, your entire schedule is set for you. You basically know that just about every Monday through Friday, you're gonna get up, you're gonna go into the office or go to the job site, and you're gonna do the tasks that are required of you. Some days can be slow, some days can be busy, but this entire structure basically instills in you the idea and the concept that you are trading your time for money. Because the odds are, whether you're busy or slow, or you accomplish a lot or you don't accomplish hardly anything during that week, your pay is probably going to be the same. You're basically saying to your employer, look, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna give you 40 hours of my life, and in exchange, you're going to give me a paycheck. That's the deal. And that works fine. It works completely fine for a lot of people. But anybody that has actually worked with me in a corporate environment knows that I've always had a little bit of resentment toward that mindset. See, time is our most valuable asset. It is limited and finite. We only get a certain amount. So the idea of trading it away at a predetermined block or quantity, regardless of how much of that time is actually going to be needed to accomplish the task, has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Now, there are a ton of really smart people that are way smarter than I am, that have written some really good books on this whole concept of how to maximize your time to most efficiently generate your income and therefore be able to live the life that you want to. One of the most popular, if not the most popular books on this subject is called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and I'll leave a link to that one down below in case you want to check it out, because he can explain it way better than I can or have time for in this video. But the reason that I'm making this video is this. You see, when I left my corporate job back in April of this year, I was already 15,000 words into the first draft of the book that I was working on. So it was really easy for me to fill my mornings with writing. I take a break at lunch to eat and exercise, and then my afternoons were usually spent either writing some more if I felt like it, or working on the marketing or other aspects of the business, or making YouTube videos. My days felt full, I felt productive, and I would stop working when I felt like I had been productive enough for that day. So I finished the first draft of that book, and the very next week I went on my annual golf trip with some buddies of mine, came back, worked on the edits, the second draft, sent it off to my editor, got it ready for publishing and everything that comes along with that, all of the marketing, and that book was finished. But I guess the big difference between that book and where I am now is that when I finished that book that came out in June, I was actually already pretty much set with exactly what the new book that I was going to start writing was going to be. I knew the majority of the plot, and I just had to start writing. So it actually came pretty easily. It took me about 3 months to write that first draft, another week or two to go through my second draft, and then I sent it off to my editor. Which brings me to where I am right now, today, and this past week, and most of last week as well. See, while I am waiting for my manuscript to get back from my editor so I can look over her copy edits, I have kind of found myself in limbo in between projects. I don't know what to do with myself. And while I said previously, I'm definitely a big advocate of people not necessarily needing to spend all of their time working in order to be productive or successful, I'm actually finding myself getting really anxious with how unproductive I am feeling while I'm in between projects and don't really know what to do. See, there's only so much social media marketing and advertising I can do, because a lot of that is usually test for a few days and then set it and forget it for a while. And my YouTube channel isn't exactly something where I'm pumping out a video every single day either. So even though I know what the next book I'm gonna write is, I know which series it's gonna fall into, I'm still kind of brainstorming for that perfect idea that I think is going to make the best novel. So I haven't really even started writing or doing a whole lot of really plotting on that at all. Maybe it's because now that writing and creating is my primary source of income, I feel like the pressure to create is all of a sudden a lot higher than it was before. And I really just don't like this idea of having downtime. I don't like waking up and thinking I'm going to spend another day being unproductive. Now, obviously, writing a book is not something that can be done in a day or a week. Well, at least not for me. I think there are some people out there that are writing a book a week, and that's just amazing. But for me, it's always a little slower. And when I do actually get started on a writing project, it's not something that I rush. I don't try to hurry through it, because I know that the moment I start doing that is the moment that my story and ultimately my product begins to suffer. I will usually try to set myself a deadline, that way I kind of have an overall timeline for my publishing schedule throughout the year, and I do try to stick to that. And just the act of sitting down each day and writing and working on what I know will eventually be a product that is going to help generate me income is enough to usually satisfy my productivity goals for the day. But in this no man's land of being in between products that I'm in right now, I'm just kind of finding the days to be wasted. And a byproduct of this is that now I'm actually finding myself trying to come up with other projects to work on, like YouTube videos and a new podcast idea, to kind of help fill in those productivity gaps when I'm not writing. Which only exasperates the problem that I already had, because when I'm spending mental energy trying to think of these other things I could be doing, I'm not spending the right amount of energy I should be on trying to brainstorm and plot and begin my next writing project. Which is definitely not good, because if you believe in and follow the 80-20 rule of business, if you look at my situation, the majority of my income is going to come from those 2 or 3 books that I'm going to write and publish throughout the year, and not from all the effort it might take me to make 50 YouTube videos or 50 new podcast episodes. So what I think I've actually really learned over these last few weeks is that even though it's been 7 months since I left my corporate job, walking away from 15 years of corporate IT, I don't think I am as fully adjusted to the new routine and rhythm as I previously thought I was. I still have some work to do in terms of adjusting my mindset to the whole working for myself mentality and figuring out on the big picture as well as the small picture what my productivity schedule needs to look like, throughout the day, the weeks, the months, and then ultimately the year, what it is that I want to accomplish and how I can create a roadmap for that success. I also need to figure out what kind of downtime I actually do need and how to fill that downtime in between projects, and to fill that downtime in a way that allows me to both reset and also gear up for whatever project I have coming up next, and to do it in a way that doesn't make me feel like I'm just wasting time and being unproductive. So if you're a full-time creator, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to know what you think about this and how you manage your time and your projects throughout the year. Drop a comment down below. Otherwise, that is it for today, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that thumbs up down below. It really does help me out. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos in the future, and I will talk to you later. By the way, I made this entire video while we had a new puppy running around with our current dog, just making all kinds of noise and being all over the place. So that was fun.